Hey everybody, good morning. Welcome to the Morning Devo with Bowo. It is August 29th, a great day because it's our son's birthday. We're so stoked. I know he's, 29 years old? Yeah, 29. And that means Sil and I's anniversary is just next week, where we're 30 years. Unbelievable. I mean, absolutely awesome. 30 years. So we got a son, 29, married 30. I mean, very cool. And so it's an exciting week for me for sure. Anyway, we're going to get into just one psalm today, Psalm 7. And it's a very cool psalm, you'll see. And you can always check out the archives of the devotions at my YouTube channel, right there. Right there. And so just type in Bo Willette in the search, and you'll be able to find me and go through the Bible, which is awesome. Just go through books of the Bible. So if you're not too sure about like a book, you've got kind of always wondered about it, well, we can just go over it together. And so Psalms are songs. That's what we learned. And before you hit the psalm and read it, usually there's a little caption, like in this one. And so we'll read this one, and just so you kind of get a feel for it. So in a study Bible, it'll say Psalm 7, a Shiggaion of David, which he sang to the Lord concerning Cush, a Benjamite. And then there's a little description of what this musical term Shiggaion is, and it just says it's probably some kind of musical term. And so it's a certain kind, maybe style of music it's being played to. And so I think this morning, the first thing I just am thankful for is different styles of music. It's kind of weird, that you would think that a devotion in the Bible would actually lend you or lead you to appreciate different styles of music. But sure enough, in studying the Bible, you can draw this conclusion that there's different styles. And isn't that cool? There's even different styles today. And, how thankful are you for, music? How thankful are you for the diversity of music and the way it kind of alters your heart maybe, or your mind, or kind of moves you in different ways? It really is amazing what music is, and how our minds and emotions pick up on those vibrations. I find it super fascinating to think about, but above all, to, in a sense, worship the creator of these things. And that's even more amazing, is whoever created it, right? i.e. the true and living God. Man, God's got to be pretty amazing. Just being in heaven and experiencing music is going to be absolutely mind-boggling. And alone, just that subject alone will be absolutely amazing. And so we know singing's in heaven. We see that in the Bible. That's kind of interesting. So it's going to be interesting, So it says, "O Lord my God, I take refuge in you." I love that. Take refuge in you. We've learned about God being a shield, that place of protection. Here's another idea, the refuge, that place, that, in a sense, place you can go to find some kind of comfort or some kind of peace. And sometimes we have these dark nights of the soul, where you just can't sleep and you're just wrestling over something. And sometimes what hits my mind is, Jesus, you're my peace, And there's a passage in the New Testament, in the book of Ephesians, that says that Jesus is our peace. And sometimes that's all we can really grab a hold of, right? Is just that Jesus is our peace. He's the one who's brought us to the Father. He's brought us near, right, through the offering. And he's the one who's reconciled us to the Father. He's the one who intercedes for us today. He prays for us today. And he tells us to come to him all who are heavy laden and he'll give us rest. So, it's like he's our peace, right? So I take refuge in you. Save and deliver me from all who pursue me. You really sense a stress, all who pursue me, everything that comes after me, people that are against me, things, again, I like to look at it as like the system, that's against you. Different companies or businesses are in a sense against you. They want to see you fail. They're actually set up to see you fail. And that's the kind of interesting thing about our world. And it says, deliver me, right, from those that pursue me, a constant pursuing. I think of sometimes marketing, right? The marketing world. Ooh, that's a big world. And getting us to go, getting us to buy, getting us to purchase, right? It's just a constant. And it says they pursue. What's pursuing you today? What's pursuing your what's taking up your mind? What's taking up your thoughts? What are things that pursue you? Can you recognize them? Do you know what they are? Do you sense even the inner things that pursue? Like the fear, resentment, bitterness, hurt, right? Insecurities, things like that pursue you. Ooh, that certainly now hits home probably. Maybe we got to bring that before God. God, deliver me from things that pursue me. Now we can start really getting in there. Really asking God to deal with some of the things in our heart. He says, these people will tear me up like a lion. They rip me to pieces with no one to rescue me. It's a serious thing, right? The things that are in our hearts, the things that come towards us, pursue us, man, they can be very serious. And they can have some serious ramifications, no doubt about it. Oh, Lord, my God. It's kind of like a lion, right? It's like hard to not see a lion, especially when you're at a zoo, right? You kind of notice the lion because it's big, it's loud, and it actually is quite pretty. And sometimes things that pursue us are like that. And they're pretty, but they're loud, right? And they distract. It says, O Lord my God, I have done this, and there is guilt on my hands. Interesting, right? I have done this, and there is guilt on my hands. An admission, a confession we see in Psalm 7. It says, and I have done evil to him who is at peace with me. If I had done evil. So it's an if. Right? Oh, Lord my God, if I have done this and there is guilt on my hands, if I have done evil to him who is at peace with me, or without cause have robbed my foe, then let my enemy pursue and overtake me. Let him trample my life to the ground and make me sleep in the dust. What a prayer. God, if I have done this, if I have done evil who is at peace. Now, the only way you can say this prayer is if you know that you potentially could do evil, And this is tough for a lot of us, right? Where we don't want to admit that, man, I have done evil things. There's guilt on my hands. People that were at peace with me, I've said things about. And maybe I've hurt them. Man. God, if there's some guilt with me, it says then, you know what? Deal with me accordingly. And that's a tough prayer, right? He says, then let my enemies pursue and overtake me. Let him trouble my life to the ground and make me sleep in the dust. Let me be put to death. Wow. Lord, you judge me. I mean, man, what faith to be able to say, hey, God, if I have done these things, you judge me. You deal with me. You put me into the dust of the earth. I mean, pretty radical kind of statement with God. And you don't hear a lot of prayers like that. A lot of them are pretty safe, like, oh God, forgive me, and then it's like, help me, and that kind of thing. Where here it's like, hey God, if I've done wrong, you can judge me. I trust you. I trust you to judge me righteously. You're gonna do the right thing. You got to deal with me. That's an amazing amount of faith there. It says, arise, O Lord, in your anger. Rise up against the rage of my enemies. It's a call to action on God's part. Rise up. Deal with my enemies. Awake, my God, decree justice. Let the assembled peoples gather around. Rule over them from on high. Hey, God, wake up and deal with these people. I love that. A cry out to God to wake up. Hey, God, wake up. Can you see what's going down? Kind of idea. Sometimes that's just where we're at in our prayer, right? Hey, God, wake up. Can you see what's going on? Do you know what's happening? Can you deal with this? It says, let the Lord judge the peoples. Judge me, O Lord, according to my righteousness. Now notice he says, judge the peoples, then he says, judge me. According to my righteousness, according to my integrity, O Most High. Judge me according to my righteousness, according to my integrity. Judge me. Now, a lot of times we look at that and we go, hey, that's like, judge me, look at my righteousness, look at my integrity. Yeah, there's a part of that, I think, where we look at it and we go, hey, I think I'm doing better. But then there's the idea of, God, you judge me. You're a just God. You judge me, and you judge my righteousness. You judge my integrity. And that can be quite a rude awakening prayer. You might think you're righteous, but then you come to the infinite righteous one, and you find out that he's not only righteous, he has an infinite amount of righteousness. And he's not only just, but he's got an infinite amount of justice. And and you don't feel so maybe big around that anymore. You know that maybe you got some chinks in the armor as well. And so, judge me, O Lord, according to my righteousness, according to my integrity, O Most High, O righteous God, who searches minds and hearts. Oh, he knows, the psalmist knows that God is the one who searches minds and hearts, that his judgment will be thorough. Judge me according to my righteousness. Hey, you judge my righteousness. You judge my integrity. And God, he knows where we're at. That's for sure. And he searches minds and hearts. He knows my emotions. He knows why I said those things. He knows what was in the heart. He knows the sinful inclinations, the sinful actions that we have. All that. It says, O righteous God who searches minds and hearts, bring to an end the violence of the wicked and make the righteous secure. Boy, do we need security. I think of a devotion, and I think sometimes our hearts just cry out for security. And because they cry out for security so much, sometimes we will go different directions to try to feel secure. So sometimes because we have an instinct of wanting to be secure, and that instinct might go a little astray in us, we will fish and try to get things from people that make us feel safe, make us feel on solid ground. So we might say something to someone, waiting to hear a reaction. What we say to them isn't really because we love them or we care for them. It's because we're waiting to hear something that they say that puts us to rest. It gives us comfort. So we really aren't loving people at all. we're actually trying to deal with a insecurity that's within us. Isn't that interesting? So it's like, yeah, it says, and make the righteous secure. God, we want you to be our security. I mean, that's the idea here, is that if I could get my security in God, I'm okay in you. I'm going to be okay in you. Then I don't need to fish for those kind of words from other people that make me feel okay. Sometimes we want our kids to say certain things to make us feel okay, when what's needed really is for them to, be honest. And maybe I'm afraid of what someone's going to say. I don't know what it's going to be. I'm afraid of different things that could happen. So I'm just constantly fishing and waiting for someone to say something that can bring me some kind of security. It's a very sinful heart. It has incredible ramifications on people, because we don't love people anymore. We're not loving people. We're loving self so much. We've become such idol worshipers of self that we're using people to try to feel secure about something in us. And that's kind of the fact jack, so to speak, and it hurts, though, the heart, because you go, whoa, I'm not really going to the righteous God, to make me secure. I'm going to something else. So the psalmist always is going to God to receive things, which is kind of a cool, I think, point to the Psalms. We go to God. Why do we worship the Lord? Because we're going to God to receive things. That's what we need. My shield is God Most High, who saves the upright in heart. Cool. He's the shield, right? He's the protector. The upright in heart. The one who's upright, who's looking up, right? God is a righteous judge, a God who expresses his wrath every day. So much so. Look outside, right? Do you see a closeness with the deity everywhere in the world? No. You see a separation, right? You see a distance. If he doesn't relent, he will sharpen a sword. He will bend and string his bow. He has prepared his deadly weapons. He makes ready his flaming arrows. God is a righteous judge, a God of precision. That's right. It says, he will deal with us accordingly, right? And it will be a precise judgment. He who is pregnant with evil and conceives trouble gives birth to disillusionment. Pregnant with evil. Man, what a phrase. He who is pregnant with evil. Sounds like lyrics, I guess, right? And conceives trouble gives birth to disillusionment. Don't know what you're getting into, man, right? Pregnant with evil. Man, that's right. It's right there, right? It's right there. The baby's right there. He who digs a hole and scoops it out falls into the pit he has made, right? You're digging your own pit. You're making it worse for you. Stop digging your own hole, right? Oh, how many times do we do that in our life? Digging our own holes. Gosh. That's something that happens so often in our world, right? We dig our own pit, and then we fall into it. The trouble he causes recoils on himself. His violence comes down on his own head. I will give thanks to the Lord because of his righteousness, and will sing praise to his name, the name of the Lord Most High. Cool. The idea of, again, is that idea of giving thanks to the Lord because of what? His righteousness. Hey, I don't see much righteousness here. I don't even know if there's much righteousness in me, the psalmist says. Search me, Lord. Judge me according to your righteousness. According to my righteousness, according to my integrity. You judge those things. You measure those things, but your judgment's going to be infinite. And but I give thanks to you that you're righteous. I might not see much righteousness, but I certainly know you're righteous, and I will sing praise to you. So it's a beautiful upward declaration of the righteousness of God, of the justice of God, to deal with human beings, and to deal really, in a sense, in a fine-tuned way. And then there's some great warnings in the psalm, right? I love that, not digging your own pit kind of idea. And then the idea of just being secure in God, right? So we're not trying to get that security from others. So a very cool psalm, one that's very much filled with a lot of devotion upward to the Lord, one that hopefully you can read over in the day and really glean a lot from, because there is a lot of depthness to it. So it says, Craig says, and yet as well as he knows us, he still loves us. That's right. Absolutely. And that's what the psalmist is so blown away by, right? Instead of recoiling from the righteous God, the psalmist tends to draw near to God. Not so much knowing that there is a fear of his judgment, but also there is a comfort of his righteousness, a comfort of his justice, and that God will deal righteously, but there's an expectation of an exaltation of mercy within God's judgment on those that are looking to him. And so that's kind of cool. So anyway, it's a cool psalm, and it's one psalm that we just went over today, so not too much, but you can see that these psalms are pretty power-packed and pretty filled with a lot of good stuff throughout the day. So maybe when we're in our car and we're at a red light, and it's just kind of sitting around doing nothing, we can think, maybe read over the psalm again. So you guys have a great day, okay? And enjoy some music today too. Bye-bye.